and welcome to the Journey to Homeownership with the Golden State Finance Authority on the Power Is Now TV. My name is Eric Frazier. It's a beautiful day in Southern California, a great day to talk about real estate and home ownership. With me today is Carolyn Sansori. She is the Director of Marketing and Stakeholder Relations with the Golden State Finance Authority, and I'm so glad she is partnering with the Power Is Now TV to educate consumers and to inspire them about the assistance that is available to purchase a home at the Golden State Finance Authority. Welcome again, Carolyn, to the Power Is Now.
Thank you, Eric. I love being a part of this series that we are creating. I'm so looking forward to today's show because it really does bring home the power of what Golden State Finance Authority's programs can do for families in California. You know, California is such a high-cost state, and it's just taking more and more time and energy for people to live here, to save money, and ultimately to buy a home. And so today we have two wonderful guests on our show with us today, Edwin and Blanca Miranda, who have agreed to come on and talk about their journey to home ownership and help inspire other people to get started.
I can't wait to hear their story. And for many people, the only way to make down payment assistance and closing cost assistance, free money for many people, to make it real is to hear from real people. And so I am confident that those who are watching or listening to us on our podcast are going to be inspired by their story. And so I, again, appreciate Golden State and the great work you're doing to make homeownership a reality and to help great people like Edwin and Blanca Miranda overcome adversity and the challenge of saving money to be able to make homeownership a reality.
You're so right. So let's get started. Let's welcome them to the show. Edwin, Blanca, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to do this interview with us. I really appreciate your time and, more importantly, just your willingness to help other people understand how important homeownership is, how impactful getting down payment assistance can be in that process. So welcome to today's show.
Thank you. We want to thank you. And like they say, namaste. We want to thank you so much for the opportunity that you gave us. Having a home has opened so many doors, and we're truly blessed for this miracle. And I always tell Blanca, you guys are like angels of light, making things happen, making dreams come true. So we do want to thank you very much.
Thank you. It's great to hear people's stories and to see how excited they have been about accomplishing this dream. So we'll start with some questions and get a little further into your story. First, provide me your names again. Where are you originally from? Where do you currently live? And what do you do for a living? Just give me a little bit of background. Maybe tell me about your family, that kind of thing.
Okay, well, my name is Edwin Miranda, and this is my wife,
Blanca Alfaro.
And I am first generation, so I'm the first one born in my family in the United States. My father's from Ecuador, and my mother's from Dominican Republic, close to Haiti. And, they're immigrants. They came to New York City to find a better living and a better way of life. And my father always encouraged me to study, go for your goals, dream ahead. And he always said, whatever you want to do in life is what you make of it. So on that note, my father was very strict. He was, like I said, he was an immigrant who came to the United States, and I proceeded to study. I got a bachelor's in criminal justice from John Jay College in New York City. And then I pursued later on a master's degree in education. And my line of work is criminal justice. I have a lot of experience doing both probation and pretrial services. And that's been my focus.
Blanca,
that's a summary.
Would you like to share a little too, Blanca?
Sí, yo vengo de El Salvador.
She says, I'll translate. She says, I come from Salvador.
Vengo de una familia bien trabajadora. Ellos trabajan en agricultura.
And I come from a hardworking family, and they work in agriculture.
Y vine acá a este país buscando un mejor futuro.
And I came to the United States to find a better life.
Do you have kids, extended family here?
Yes, well, actually, yes, we have. We left that part out. We do have 2 kids. We have a daughter. Blanca has a daughter, and she's my daughter as well, and she's 9. And then me and Blanca have a boy, and he's 5 years old, and they both live with us right now where we're at. And we currently live in Stockton, California, is where we're located right now.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, your journey to home ownership? How long were you renting before you bought your home, and what was the catalyst to that decision?
Gosh, we all throughout the years, even though, my father always said, oh, government work is the best work. And, it hasn't been an easy journey. Yes, government plans are known for their good benefits and having a defined pension plan and all of that, but the salaries haven't been the best. So me and Blanca, we've lived in a lot of different states. We lived in Arizona, we lived in Washington State, we lived in Florida. We were in New York for a bit, and we just been around, and we were struggling, financially. So it wasn't until Blanca encouraged me. She goes, we're tired of struggling. We need to really try to get something stable and become more stable. We were getting a lot of criticism, because we were just bouncing around with kids, and we just wanted to offer stability, and stability is a big thing, and it's part of the home ownership plan. So Blanca said, she encouraged me to apply for just one good job. And I never thought of moving to California. So I'll be honest, I was trying to get back to Arizona because that's where I lived, and I do have one more son there. And I was trying to get back. I was applying for jobs. They're all paying like $35,000. They weren't. It was the best salary. So I applied for one job, and it happened to be here close to the Bay Area. And it was a great job, and it was the highest paid job I ever received. Of course, I didn't know, because when I applied, I was out of state. So when I looked at the salary, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great salary. But little did I know, I said, well, let me look into housing. And when I looked at the whole area around the county that I was going to work with, I was so, oh my God, I was so shocked. And Blanca was shocked, because I kept telling her, oh my God, the cheapest one bedroom is like $2,100, $2,300. So I said, okay, well, let's try something an hour, a little bit out. And we tried here in Stockton, and we were able to find something, way more affordable. But we rented for a long time, for years and years and years, and we just basically felt like we were just throwing money away. And living in the apartment at first in the Bay Area, we lived there for a little over a year. We were paying $2,100 for over 12 months. So it was just money that was just being thrown off.
So in the Bay Area, you were renting a house for around $2,100. What was that? What did you have? Was it a one bedroom?
It was, honestly, it was so small. It was just a small 1-bedroom apartment with a very, very small patio. And and when COVID hit, things just blew. It was just crazy. We had 2 kids. It was me and Blanca. It was a very small, I think it was like 700 square feet with 2 kids, 1 bedroom. And it was rough when the pandemic hit. And we were there. It was a rough time. We had dishes in the floor, kids were sleeping in the living room, and it was just bad. And then at one time with COVID hit, we tried to do a little barbecue outside in the patio, and they called security. The tenant upstairs called security, and they told us that if we didn't shut the barbecue in the patio, we were going to be evicted. So that was a killer for us.
So you definitely were looking for something larger, something where the kids could have some freedom. I think you mentioned that, Blanca, like location was really important to you.
Sí, nosotros estábamos bien, era bien difícil estar en un apartamento toda la familia.
It was very difficult to, the whole family to be in an apartment.
Necesitábamos espacio, estar cómodos.
We needed space. We needed to be comfortable.
Por eso fue que comenzamos a tener la idea de comprar una casa.
And that's why we had the idea of trying to, get a house.
Wonderful, thank you. Eric, do you want to take over some questions?
Yes, Blanca, both you and Edwin are apparently first generation here in the United States, right? Or is it just you, Edwin? And I want to learn more about, your life prior to the United States and now, because I think as Americans, we take for granted how good we have it here. In the United States, and particularly how good we have it here in California, where we have incredible weather, incredible job opportunities. And so let's start first with you, Blanca. I mean, you guys have been married for how long, and when did this journey from El Salvador to here actually take place?
Fue muy difícil llegar acá.
It was very difficult to come here.
Era mi hija y yo.
It was just me and my daughter.
Pasamos muchas cosas difíciles en el camino.
We went through a lot of difficulties on the journey.
Y pues la meta era llegar. No me imaginaba ser dueña de una casa.
My goal was to just arrive to the United States. It was never really to have a house.
Y pues ahora estoy muy agradecida por todas las bendiciones que Dios nos ha dado.
And I'm very grateful for all the gifts that God has given us.
Muy contenta pues de haber conocido a Edwin.
I'm very happy to have met Edwin.
De tener una familia, de tener salud.
And to have a family, a healthy family.
Vengo de una familia bien humilde.
I come from a very humble family.
Trabajamos pues con la tierra.
We work with the land.
Y en mi familia es normal tener una casa.
In my family,
Normal.
It's normal to have a house.
Se pasó de una generación a otra generación.
It's transferred from generation to generation.
Sí, pues cuando venimos en el camino hacia los Estados Unidos.
When I came to the journey to the United States,
pasamos por varias circunstancias difíciles.
We went through several circumstances that was very difficult.
En nuestros países latinos, como en todos lugares, hay mucha violencia.
In our country, like a lot of Latin American countries, there's a lot of violence.
Y muchas personas queremos nuestros países, pero nos vemos obligados a salir.
And many of us love our countries, but we're obligated to have to leave.
Por trabajo,
Because
por
of work,
oportunidades.
because of opportunities.
Por darle a nuestra familia un mejor porvenir.
And to give our family a better life.
Pero pues gracias a Dios estamos aquí.
So thank God that we are here.
Thank you.
Thank God you are here. And not only you here, but you're here in style, homeowner, right? And, that has to be, that has to be extremely rewarding to go from your living situations. And I recall, Edwin, in previous conversations, you were telling me about life in New York and how small the apartment was. And even to wash your clothes, you had to go outside.
I never knew. I actually thought it was normal for everyone to wash clothing outside of their residence. It wasn't until I left. I left New York City around the age of 20, around more or less around 22. I had just, graduated from college, and I was also in the Army National Guard. And I thought it was normal. Everybody, that's what we did. And my mom lives in Sunset Park in Brooklyn, and she lives in a 5th-story apartment complex with no elevators. And of course, she's very elderly. And to wash the clothing is such a big thing because you have to carry everybody's clothing or everybody's laundry, and you have to walk down all these flights, and then you have to walk down 2 or 3 blocks to wash the clothing, and then you have to hope that the laundromats are not full, which is always full because everybody in the community is washing the clothing at the laundromat. So it it was rough. I never realized how difficult it was to live in an apartment. I thought that was the norm, but it wasn't until I got out of that situation that I look back and I say, wow, I don't know how I did it all these years. But New York City is it's a beautiful city, but living in packed up like I just felt like I was living like roaches, just one on top of another. I could never foresee that again in my life.
So Edwin, you made the transition here to California. You got the great job, and you rented a very small apartment for $2,100 a month, and you realized that you needed to buy a home. What were some of the barriers that you had to overcome to be in a position to buy?
The biggest barrier, well, I'm so grateful. I really do feel, I don't want people to call me cutthroat, but I really feel California is my home, California has opened up so much doors with, the first barrier was the income. That was the very first thing. So thank God, being in the Bay Area afforded, a good income. It's good income if you're not living there. So I just want to clarify that, because technically my income, when I was there, my income with Blanca and 2 kids would qualify us for, food stamps and, subsidy programs. Like we were considered low income, actually, if we lived in the Bay Area. Because the idea really was for me to have enough income so that my wife doesn't have to work. Because my peers, their wife work, but my peer is working just for daycare. So I didn't like the concept of just one of us having to work just for daycare expenses, which could be for 2 kids, could be $3,000-4,000 a month. So the idea was for me to have enough income for my wife to be home and give the quality education and everything like that for the kids. So the first barrier was the income. That was the big thing. And then after, going through a tough divorce, the next thing was, was improving my credit score, because moving from state to state I took a hit, got into debts. I used credit card bills, credit card debts. I had, all kinds of bills accumulate. And then, there was some back child support that I owed. They didn't care if I was working or not. So I had to catch up with that. That was another barrier. But I would say, those are 2 barriers. The credit was, the income, the credit. And then the biggest one out of all of them, I would say, was down payment. There was no way, we were check to check. There was no way that we were going to be able to come down with the down payment. And, people always say you need to save and always save your money. But how do you save money when you got to pay $2,100 a month? You have 2 kids, you got to feed them, you got to pay the minimum on the credit card payments, and you got to keep all the other bills in good standing. And then there's just no room, not even left over, to pay off the other accounts to get out of that hole. So those are some of the barriers. Those are the main barriers.
Well, it sounds like you made some pretty great financial moves to get into position, the job, fixing the credit, and then learning about the Golden State Finance Authority, which we're going to get into that in more detail. What would you say would be, now that you've been able to achieve this goal, what would you say would be your, top 3 or 4 reasons why you feel that homeownership is absolutely essential for everyone to do whatever they have to take to become, a homeowner?
It's very important. A home has always been historically the very thing that people fight for. When we look at history, when we look at the history of the natives, of the indigenous populations, of the pilgrims and all that, it's always been over land and over property. And it's important to have a home. It's important to have a sacred space, not just for the well-being of one financially. When we were living in an apartment, we were just throwing money. We were paying $2,100 a month. Let's just say for that 1 year, $2,100 a month for 1 bedroom times 12. Okay, it's 20. That's about what, $27,000 a year. That's a lot of money. If we were living there, 3 years, 5 years, you're talking about maybe 100,000. That's about half of what I owe in this house right now. That's crazy. And we don't you walk away, you don't own anything, you don't have any space. I mean, we couldn't, just thinking back, we couldn't even do a barbecue. We were told to shut down and be evicted. And every year the rent goes up. I mean, there's just no end. There's no space. The kids were locked up. Then COVID hit. There's no space. They didn't have their own privacy. So there's also an emotional component to it. There's no privacy. We're all just in one big room. Now, the kids have their bedrooms. There's a lot of space here. We have a garden. Not only that, we can go green now. We can grow our own vegetables, our own fruits, even though inflation's up. We got lettuce. Blanca has starting to grow crops here in the backyard. I mean, there's all kinds of rewards, all kinds of incentives. And then we can do yoga in the back. We can do all kinds. We can do our meditation practices. It's all kinds of benefits. And then this is the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that in 1 year, this property has been, the equity went up about $100,000. So in addition, not only did we are paying here, the rent is actually, the mortgage is actually $1,200. And when you throw in the escrow and all of that, it comes out to about $1,670. So $2,100 to $1,670. That's all the savings you get per month, plus the $100,000 equity. And I always tell Blanca, she always gets mad at me, but I said, do you realize that here, if we stay here another 3 or 4 years, we can buy one cash in Florida by the beach? And she laughs at me and she says, wow, I never thought about that. But, prices are high here in California, but, it's good to know that you have equity because, that opens up other doors. That opens up the door of investing further, et cetera. So that's what I recommend. That's one thing. There's just a lot of benefits like that, in terms of your space, in terms of your privacy. We can have animals, we can have dogs, cats, and it's just beautiful. There's no words to describe it.
Well, I love the meditation, the yoga. Blanca has a garden. What are you growing in that garden, Blanca?
Lechuga, broccoli, green beans, tomatoes, almost everything, all the veggies.
Awesome. Well, man, what a story. And I really appreciate you guys giving us this time to really learn about your journey. Carolyn, thank you for just inviting them. And what do you think so far?
I think it's great. I mean, it's a great story of people, overcoming adversity, but also just first generation being here in the U.S. and then coming to the U.S. for the first time from another country with a lot harder circumstances. And then the two of you getting together. The challenges moving around the country and then renting and eventually being able to settle right here in beautiful California in Stockton, San Joaquin County with your family and provide a really nice situation and house for them. And I understand that feeling of not wanting to have double incomes coming in just to have one of those incomes going out and paying for childcare. It's a real affordability problem here. I think it affects people in all kinds of states. So being able to have one of you home to be with the kids more is a wonderful blessing. So I'm really glad that this has provided you that opportunity. For those of you that are with us, I just want to say thank you. I hope that you're enjoying hearing Edwin and Blanca's story. You are with The Power Is Now TV and Golden State Finance Authority. We are talking about home ownership journeys. We're going to take a break. We hope that you'll stay with us. We'll be right back.
Want to keep up with the current developments happening in the world of real estate? The Real Estate Roundtable, hosted by Eric L. Frazier, is a show you do not want to miss. The show features a panel of VIP agents who are passionate about helping people. It is what they do best. They discuss today's hot topics, latest market updates and trends. The panel also conducts interviews with prominent figures in the industry. New episode every Friday live on Facebook and replay on the Power Is Now YouTube channel.
We are back. For those just joining us, welcome to The Power Is Now TV, the series Journey to Home Ownership with Golden State Finance Authority. I'm Carolyn Sanseri, Marketing Director with Golden State Finance Authority. And with me today is also Eric Frazier, President of The Power Is Now Media and Vice President and Mortgage Advisor with First Bank. For 29 years, Golden State Finance Authority has been doing business here in California, distinguishing itself as a leader in affordable housing. What does that mean? It means that we have been helping over 84,000 individuals and families purchase a home by providing some financial assistance to help cover their down payment and their closing costs. Over the last 2 decades, we've been able to furnish over $640 million in down payment assistance. And with us today are a couple of special guests who have been sharing their journey to homeownership. But before I get into that, I just want to share with our audience a little bit more about the down payment assistance program. Golden State Finance Authority has a couple of programs that provide down payment and closing cost assistance up to 7% of the mortgage loan. And that assistance comes in a variety of forms. It could be a gift, it might be forgiven after 3 years, or a portion of it may be paid back at some future date, depending on the program and the situation of the borrower. But one of the biggest advantages is that by getting down payment assistance, oftentimes people can purchase a home a lot sooner than they thought possible, because it is so challenging in today's economy to save up $10,000, $20,000 to buy a home. So I want to again welcome our guests back to the program to continue to share their journey with us. So Edwin and Blanca, thank you again for being on today's show. And I also wanted to just again acknowledge this has been a really inspirational story and journey about both of you here in the US, and then ending up meeting each other and moving to California and then buying a home. It's been a really inspirational story. So thank you.
Well, we want to thank you, for all the hard work that all of you have done. We want to thank Golden State. It never would have happened. We never would have had a house if Golden State didn't help us with the down payment. I had told others about the down payment program and the cost that you guys were going to help us with. And I told my dad, and he said it was a scam. And I told other people, and they said that's not true. That's probably, there's probably something in it, and they're probably trying to, take my credit or take some money. So nobody, to be honest, and that is the truth, nobody believed in the down payment program. And I told my wife, and I told her about it, and she was like, "Wow, that's kind of shady. It doesn't sound right." And I told her, "Well, there is programs here in the United States. I don't know about Salvador, but there is programs here that helps people." And we did it. I said, "Well, let me just take the risk." I've taken a risk with everything else. I didn't have the chance to mention at one point we were homeless. When I lost my job in Washington State, it left us in a bad situation where I had to run back to New York City. We were in a homeless situation, and we've lost a lot, over the years with the financial struggle. So, and my wife had, also she's used to taking risks with her journey. So, all the risks that she's taken just to come to the United States. So I said, why not? Let me try this program and see if it's true. And and yes, it happened. My wife couldn't believe it. My wife actually didn't even look at this house when we moved in. We tried one house. We didn't have the down payment. And she said, "That's it. I'm not searching for anything else. Just todo. No quiero saber nada. No voy a hacer nada. Eso es todo." And she says, "Vas a comprar algo? Hazlo tú." And she said, "Just do it yourself." And when I had all the paperwork and line in a row and closing was done, she was like, "What? Are you serious? We're just about to close." And I'm like, "Yeah, can you at least look at the house?" And she came in here, she fell in love with it. And she, there's tears in the eyes. She was crying and,
Comprar una casa para muchas personas aquí en los Estados Unidos, especialmente nosotros que venimos de otros países.
To buy a house for many of us, especially some of us who come from other countries.
Se escucha con muchos requisitos.
It sounds like, it entails a lot of requirements.
Muchas personas desconocemos el sistema.
Many of us, that come here, we're not familiar with the system.
Y no sabemos que hay este tipo de ayudas para personas como nosotros.
We don't know that there exist programs like this for us.
Gracias por ayudar a muchas personas a que su sueño sea realidad.
And thank you for helping us make this dream a reality.
Muchas personas, como en mi caso, que es mi primera casa.
For many of us, like myself, this is my first house.
Me he encontrado en muchas situaciones que no he tenido un lugar donde vivir.
I've been in several situations where I haven't had a place to live.
Especialmente cuando venía hacia los Estados Unidos.
Especially when I came to the United States.
He pasado por muchas circunstancias, secuestros.
I've been in many situations like kidnappings.
El tren de la bestia.
The beast train, the famous beast train, La Bestia train.
Y nunca esperé que al otro lado de la frontera.
And I never expected that at the other side of the wall
iba a encontrar o iba a recibir tantas pues bendiciones o inclusive llegar a tener una casa.
I never expected that I would receive so many blessings, especially like having a house.
Especialmente casi gratis.
And almost basically free.
Entonces, quiero decirles a todas esas personas
So I want to tell all those people
que no creen en el programa
who don't believe in the program
o piensan que los requisitos para comprar tu casa son inalcanzables.
or for those who believe that the requirements are not reachable, like they're not a reachable goal.
Sí se puede.
You can do it. It's possible.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. It is possible.
Sí se puede. Thank you. So let's talk about that actual mortgage loan that you guys ended up getting to purchase your home. It was about a $250,000 loan at the end of the day. And it looks like the assistance that was provided was about $12,000 in the form of a second loan. And that was what helped you with down payment and closing costs. I don't know if that covered all of your closing costs, but that was the piece that was provided through the Golden State Finance Authority's Platinum program. And that $12,000 was a second mortgage at a 0% interest rate, which means there's no payments on that money. There's no interest accruing on that money. And after 3 years or 36 months, it's completely forgiven. Now it's been about what, about a year since you bought the home?
About a year and 2 months. Yeah, a little over.
So at this point, about 12 months of that or 1/3 of that's already been forgiven. So that leaves maybe about 8,000. And after 3 years, it's going to be completely forgiven. So it wasn't a gift on day one, but it is going to be completely forgiven. And I hope that it was the piece that really helped cover the down payment. Do you remember when you were buying, like how much was required for down? And did you have to pay any money out of pocket when you were buying the house?
No, actually, I remember it was 12,000 something, like you mentioned. And I do remember clearly I didn't have to put any money down. In fact, what I do remember is getting money back. So we actually got back money. They actually paid off an old account that I had. I think it was like around $1,400. I had a loan with Upstart and they paid off that amount. And I think even with that, I still got back another $400. So I actually got money back.
So you practically purchased this house with no money out of pocket.
Correct.
Nada.
That's
Nothing.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit
It's
about the
amazing.
house. Tell me about the house itself. How big is it? What do you have?
Well, let me tell you, this is not the most fanciest house. My wife is a proponent of being ¿cómo se dice? Minimalista, a minimalist. It's like a tongue twister, minimalist. So she is a minimalista, but the house is perfect. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's about 1,000 square feet. The beautiful thing is the yard is about 7,000 and change square foot, almost 0.2 or 0.20. But the biggest thing here is that we are actually in a very good location. We are within walking distance of the major mall, JCPenney, Starbucks, Dutch Brothers, Discount Tires. We're close to our medical provider, which is Kaiser, within a mile distance. Costco, Walmart, Safeway. So it's just fabulous. It's just, we got the kids 2 bikes. So now we can all go bike riding from here to Starbucks or Dutch Brothers, grab some coffee. It's fabulous. The location is fabulous. And my wife she's falling in love with South Lake Tahoe. And she wants a property there, but I try to tell her that the properties there are not 250,000. They're more like $250 million. But we go there a lot. She loves Lake Tahoe, and we're close to Lake Tahoe from here. So
sí, estamos agradecidos de estar tan cerca de Lake Tahoe. Creo que Stockton es la ubicación perfecta.
Stockton, she says that Stockton, she feels it's the perfect location.
Estamos aún cerca del Bay Area.
We're close to the Bay Area.
1.5 horas, 2 horas de Lake Tahoe.
2 hours from Lake Tahoe.
Y donde estamos cerca de zonas verdes.
And we're close to the green areas, to all the green area.
Como bosques,
like the forest.
Más norte,
going
Sacramento.
North, close to Sacramento.
Todavía estamos cerca para manejar a Los Ángeles.
We're still close to go to LA.
Es la ubicación.
It's a good location, right? A good ideal location.
And so for you, Edwin, there might be a little bit of a commute to work. You're still working kind of closer to the Bay Area. Yeah.
Yes, but because of COVID, I'm very grateful. That's another blessing. A lot of people from the Bay Area are not coming towards this way because now with COVID, a lot of people are working from home. So for now, we were working twice a week from home, and now we're down to once a week. So I don't have to commute every day to work. Well, when I did, it would be about 1 hour and a half. And that's only because it's traffic. If there was no traffic, we would be 1 hour and 15 minutes. So it's a little bit of a commute, but it's still well worth it.
But the San Joaquin area allowed you to become first-time home buyers, a little bit more affordable prices there. I think the house was probably around $260,000 or so sales price. So a little bit more affordable. You have a little bit of a commute, not very often. And then Blanca, you guys were in an apartment, so the kids didn't really have like an outdoor yard, right? And do you have a yard here?
Oh, claro que sí. Tengo una yarda tan grande que crezco vegetales y hemos hecho un gazebo, hemos puesto hamacas.
She said that definitely now, we have, she's growing plants, and we've created a gazebo, and we also have a hammock now, and so there's space for the kids.
That's wonderful. So I'm sure that your family and friends were very excited for you as well. But give me a little background from your families. Did they teach you about financial matters and how to prepare for home ownership? I know each of you have unique situations, but did you learn how to prepare for these types of financial decisions?
En mi caso,
in my case,
vengo de una familia que tienen casa propia de generaciones.
I come from a family that has property from generations, like generational inheritance.
Sí, es importante tener una casa.
So it's very important to have a house.
Es algo de por vida.
It's something that is for life.
Y nosotras las mujeres que tenemos hijos, familia.
And for us women, it's important because we have kids.
Estamos pensando en dejarles algo a ellos.
We're always thinking about leaving something for the children.
Sí me educaron que tener una casa es primordial para la familia.
I was educated that to have a house is a primordial condition for the family.
Las circunstancias en comparación El Salvador con Estados Unidos son diferentes.
The comparison between Salvador and the United States is different.
Sí, en El Salvador, si tú tienes 15,000 o menos,
In Salvador, if you have 15,000 or less,
tú compras tu terreno
you buy your land
5,000 tal vez,
maybe with 5,000
y tú construyes tu propia casa.
and you build your own house,
No le debes al banco,
but you don't owe the bank.
no usamos down payments,
You don't use down payment.
es algo de por vida
It's something for life,
para ti y tu familia.
for you and your family.
El material es más duradero.
And the material that's used is more
Usan
durable.
bloque.
They use blocks.
Entonces, es diferente sistema, pero es básicamente el mismo concepto.
It's a different system, but the same concept. And in my case, my parents really didn't, you know, since they were first generation, they didn't know how to navigate around the system in the United States. So it's interesting, even though my dad encouraged me to, you know, both my parents, mom too, encouraged me to study, they never really educated me on that process. Like they never explained what the process was, how to buy a house. So I didn't learn that until I actually bought a house.
So this may or may not be the home that you stay in for long term. It may just be the stepping stone to another house, but you've got your foot in the door. And you know, the GSFA down payment assistance programs aren't just for first-time home buyers. In fact, there's no requirement that you are a first-time home buyer to qualify for our programs. You guys were a first-time home buyer. What does that mean for you in terms of your financial goals down the road? You know, are you hoping to leave property to your kids? Are you hoping to use this as a stepping stone for financial security in the future? Like, what do you see? What do you vision?
Wow, that's a big question. Well, we've been talking a lot. It's a great question because one of the things that, excuse me, we continue to talk about is developing a more financial portfolio. Some, you know, increase our asset wealth or continue to build up from here. So one of the things that we've been talking about is trying to maybe later on down the road, you know, get into develop passive income. So now that we already got our foot in the door again, thanks to Golden State and thanks to you guys, now that we're in and we're building equity and things like that, you know, we're looking maybe down the road, maybe to hopefully not sell because we really like the area and we really love California here, but maybe look into using equity for another house to develop, you know, some passive cash flow. So that's something that we've been looking into.
Número uno, cuando compramos la casa, nunca pensamos que el equity de la casa iba a subir tanto.
She says, number one, when we got into the house, we never imagined that the equity was going to go up so fast and so high.
Y que eso nos iba a dar la oportunidad de pensar en una segunda propiedad.
And we never even thought that opportunity was going to give us another chance to maybe even look into another property.
Solamente tener nuestro hogar ya es una gran oportunidad.
Just having, you know, this place is already a great opportunity.
Y ahora pensar que tenemos la posibilidad de comprar otra propiedad es fantástico.
And now to know that there's another opportunity to own another property, I mean, that's fantastic.
Creo que esa es una de las primeras buenas cosas de comprar una casa.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, you know, is very important in buying a home.
Yes. So this house was around $260,000 when you bought it, the purchase price. What do you estimate you have right now? Like if you went to sell it, how much do you think it's worth a little over a year later?
Well, we are in the process of refinancing. I know that Golden State has the forgiveness. We don't owe the $12,000. So I had to we were looking at the pros and cons of whether we should wait another 2 years so we don't owe the remaining balance, or it's important to refinance. But since rates are starting to go up, and we're in an FHA, we're looking into getting out of the PMI so we can save some more savings on monthly. So in the future, if we decide to rent it, there'd be, more of a cash flow situation. So we were able to get a good interest, almost 1 point less than the FHA, and switch over to a conventional. So right now, we did have 3 appraisals come up, and the highest appraisal came at almost $350,000.
Wow. So
yeah.
You're talking $90,000 that you've already built in equity when you could have been still paying rent and putting that money in the pocket of a landlord.
Correct.
Wow.
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
And
then the projected, the thing is too, somebody sent me some information last night. It was kind of interesting. And they said, this is what happens when you, they send an email, right? And they send an email of Placer County. And they said, this is what happens when you wait on buying a home for the next 3 years, or you wait 3 years to refinance your house. And basically he sent a grid. It shows that today's house is $350,000. However, that house that today is $350,000 in 3 years could be $500,000. So the idea of that email was that waiting has a price. So had we not gotten into the home last year at $250,000, today, this year, we would have been able to get this house, but at $100,000 more.
Wow. And for those of you that are watching, joining us today, I just want to say thank you again for watching this. It's an incredible story, but I want to remind people that when you're looking into purchasing a home and you are faced with those challenges of not having the cash resources for down payment and closing costs, and maybe that's preventing you from looking into this opportunity, do consider the programs that are out there, not just for first-time home buyers, but the programs that are out there that will help provide that money for down payment and closing cost assistance, because that might just be the one thing that gets you into home ownership today, just like Edwin and Blanca, and get you started on that journey to financial security through real estate. So it was a great example, just yourselves, and what has occurred in less than a year and a half.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful, and God bless all of you. And we hope, your program continues to expand and multiply. It's the most beautiful thing. This is what we need on earth during this time. We need a lot of healing, and there's enough land on the planet for every single person to have a space and a home. And it's ironic that we've done so many wonderful things in today's time, but there's still homeless people living in the streets and people who don't have access to the very basic needs in life. So we thank you. We can't thank your program enough. We're blessed. We try to hold back all the tears in this program. It was the hardest thing, and we want to thank you and for everything you've done. And the least we could have done is provide some insight and hope to others to not give up and move on and continue with their dreams and never give up, because sometimes the only barrier between those that succeed and those that fail is the amount of effort that you put into your dreams. So it's important never to give up until your dreams become a reality.
Edwin, first, let me say I completely agree with you. The effort and the dedication to the goal, not being willing, not giving up, not being discouraged, and you fought through some very challenging circumstances, from homelessness and relocating, and Blanca, I mean, your story is amazing, and what an inspiration you both are to other immigrants, as well as to those who are here in California now and just struggling to find the right property. One of the things I want to commend you on is the fact that you're willing to commute. When I bought my first home, it took me an hour and a half to get to work every day. I lived in rural Inland Empire and drove to downtown Los Angeles to work. And it was the best decision I ever made because over the years at home created a ton of equity, which gave us our start to acquiring more real estate over our my wife and I's 40-year marriage. And so your story reminds me of my story. You're driving an hour and a half to work, but you were willing to make that sacrifice on the road so that you can own the home you live in. And I have to say, Carolyn, I talked to many buyers who are just not willing to do that. And unfortunately, they just don't realize that it's going to come back and hurt them financially significantly. And as you just described, Edwin, I mean, had you waited just a year, you would be paying $100,000 more. That's an increase of your payment of at least $300 to $400. I mean, and a real impact to your budget and your quality of life. And so now, though, you're in the game, you're on track, and your home is going to continue. Can you imagine 3 years from now, your home is worth $500,000?
Ooh, dang. Woo. You might have several properties by then. You might have to interview me for the next program on how we became rich.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that because most wealth in this country is made through real estate. And real estate has been the primary driver for building wealth for most low to moderate income communities and minority families. It has been the primary driver. And yet, because it is the primary driver, it's unfortunate that the #1 barrier is down payment assistance. And I am so thankful to be in partnership as a mortgage advisor with Golden State to assist people in buying a home and providing the down payment assistance. Golden State has put so many people, you can now be counted in that 84,000 number. You're part of that number now. You're in a great club of homeowners with Golden State Finance Authority.
Amen to that. I do have to say one more resistance and barrier is resistance. You know, some people are just not, you have to be open and flexible. And sometimes taking opportunities requires some leaps, and you have to be willing to take that leap. And sometimes, like you said, if I would have focused on the travel to work and let that, you know, just say, you know, I'm not going to do this because it's too far of a drive. I mean, we would be paying like, I mean, $100,000. It was like we got paid $100,000 for doing that travel. So that's one thing we do have. We've always been very flexible and open towards opportunities. So
personas también que están viviendo en otros estados ven California como uno de los estados bien caros para vivir.
She said that other people look at California, they see California as one of the highest states in terms of property. It's, you know, to own property. It's very expensive.
Incluso las personas que viven en el Bay Area.
Even for people in the Bay Area.
Escuchamos el precio de las casas que se venden en el área.
Yeah, we heard about the prices of the houses sold in that area.
Y pensamos que es imposible comprar una casa de $1 millón.
And it's almost impossible to buy a house for $1 million.
Entonces, en ese caso, debemos de ser flexibles.
In that case, we should be flexible.
Ver áreas que están más baratas, a pesar que que manejar, están un poquito más retiradas de la ciudad.
And look at areas that's, you know, least expensive, and, you know, even though they're a little bit, you know, further from the city.
Pero ya una vez que tienes tu casa,
And once you have your house,
puedes encontrar un trabajo en el área.
You can find a work in the area.
Y pues la misma casa te va a dar oportunidad para expandirte.
And the same house is going to give you the opportunity to expand.
Salir de la caja.
And get out of the box.
Awesome. Well, what you speak right now is truth. And I know it's resonating with many people who are watching and listening. Home prices aren't going anywhere but up. And the sooner you can get in, the better off you will be. And the Golden State is here. The Golden State Finance Authority is here to make that dream a reality. As we wrap up this great interview, I want to extend an opportunity to both of you for just a final word of encouragement to those who are listening. These are potentially first-time home buyers. There may be people who own a home, maybe they need to sell and downsize, and they're just concerned about moving forward. You move forward both out of necessity and out of opportunity. Final comments before we wrap up the show, and Carol and I have some final words.
So I would say on my part, don't give up, trust the program, listen to those who have their homes, like in your case, and make your dreams become a reality. Like I said, don't give up. The difference between those that succeed and those who fail is just those who fail have given up, but those who succeed are people that have failed, one time, 2 times, 1,000 times, but they keep moving forward until they finally accomplish their goals. And I believe it was, what was his name? Thomas Edison, I think, when he, discovered, was it him with the light bulb?
Yes.
He had said that he had failed thousands and thousands of times before he finally succeeded with the light bulb. And it's the same concept, never give up. If we can do it, if we were able to do it, there's no reason why, someone else can't do it. I'm sure there's many others in a better situation. And even if they're not in a better situation, where they can always create the situation that will put them in a better place and create the conditions necessary for home ownership. But oftentimes it just goes back to 3 basic things, the credit, the income, and the down payment. That's the main thing: credit, income, and down payment. If sometimes you don't have a great income, but if your debt to income ratio is very low and you don't have a lot of debts, well, then it doesn't require such a high income, right? Because you don't have too much debt. So, but the biggest thing is the down payment, and Golden State is making that happen. So that main barrier is out of the way. And if we refinance and we have to pay back the $8,000, we're very comfortable knowing that money will go back to someone else. So we don't mind paying it back. So that's it on my part.
Buscar siempre información.
Look for information.
Muchas personas no creen en el programa porque no están informados.
Many people don't believe in the program because they're not well informed.
Buscar información, y los límites nada más están en la mente.
And look for the information, and the limit is only within your mind.
Thank you so much. I'd like to share the information about how to reach Golden State Finance Authority for those that are watching. Golden State Finance Authority can be found online at www.gsfahome.org. And also you can call the toll-free number 855-740-8422. Reach out to us. We'll put you in contact with a GSFA participating lender. You can ask questions under no obligation. Don't self-diagnose your situation. As Edwin mentioned, credit, income, how much you have in resources for down payment are 3 big things. But even if you've had financial hardships, even if you think your income is not sufficient, even if you do have some some debts that you're trying to get paid off, don't self-diagnose. Talk to a mortgage professional, find out what the real guidelines are, whether or not you can qualify. They can even help you get prepared to qualify down the road. So don't hesitate, get involved now and find out if a down payment assistance program such as the one from Golden State Finance Authority can really help your dream come true.
Carolyn, I appreciate you and the Golden State Finance Authority for doing the great work that you're doing and putting thousands of homeowners or thousands of renters into homes and making them homeowners. And Edwin and Blanca, you are a great example of what can be done, what can be achieved with the right help and support and the absolute determination and dedication to get it done, to not give up. Folks, you can watch more interviews like this on the powerisnow.com. The Power Is Now TV is available on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, smart TVs. Please download the Power Is Now TV on your mobile devices and share this great information about home ownership. The Golden State Finance Authority is doing it. They are making the American dream of homeownership a reality for thousands of Californians. Why can't that be you? Thank you for watching today. Remember, we are at our best and we maximize our success when we act now. The power is now.
So yes, Blanca wanted to say, she wanted to thank you because now that we have a house, she's created a sacred space for her paintings, which is healing for her. And she wanted to share that with Golden State. So,
Tengo mi propio espacio para pintar. Tengo la habilidad de hacer cuadros de arte y esta es una de las razones por las cuales soñaba con tener mi propia casa y tener un espacio sagrado para mí y sí, hacer cuadros de pintura.
Those paintings are beautiful.
Muchas gracias.
So this is the space that we have. Blanca just started doing a little bit of gardening over here. So she's doing the lettuce right now. And enséñale, amor.
Es lechuga romana. Hace 4 semanas que la sembramos. He hecho esto desde el año pasado, de crecer vegetales. Pero ahorita por el invierno apenas están creciendo.
Wow,
That's about it.
nice.
We got a lot of work to do still. So thanks for having us.
The Power Is Now Media is worldwide with growing audience of future homebuyers, investors, builders, developers, real estate agents, and brokers. The Power Is Now Media is well positioned to increase awareness and produce results for our growing roster of advertising partners. An advertisement on any of our platforms is the right step toward reaching and communicating key brand messages to a targeted network of individuals, families, and communities interested in housing. Our content areas include feature stories and profiles on successful real estate agents, business owners, government, and community leaders. The Power Is Now magazines are the leading resource for real estate agents, mortgage bankers, entrepreneurs, and small homeownership businesses, providing leaders with business strategy information, resources, and tools through PIN, real estate, and programming guide magazines. Stay up to the minute with real estate and mortgage news and information from industry experts. VIP agents are able to feature listings each week. The Power Is Now TV radio podcast features weekly shows that include Homebuyers Town Hall, Real Estate Roundtable, VIP Agent Spotlight, and so much more. Each week, VIP agents have opportunities to be featured guests on the shows. VIP agents can discuss and showcase houses, neighborhoods, and provide brief introduction. The interviews are unlimited 10 to 15 minutes on each current listing. This product alone separates you from your competition. The Power Is Now delivers to you market update interview to promote listing weekly, promotional biographical video, co-host a bi-monthly Homebuyers Town Hall show, featured subject matter expert on Real Estate Roundtable show, The Power Is Now Program Guide e-magazine, The Power Is Now National e-magazine, article writing and blogging, social media content customization, inclusion and press releases, graphic design services, business and performance coaching, technology support, referrals, lead generation opportunities, and management support.